Good morning. I am not Isrena Bradley, but I am Cheryl Wegner, and I'd like to welcome you to the First Unitarian Church of Chicago in person and at home. I am honored to lead you in worship this morning, along with Reverend Dave Messner, our minister, and Liz Kreslin, our Director of Lifespan Religious Education, and of course, our choir. First Unitarian Church has been the home for progressive religion in Chicago and beyond since 1836. The church sits on the western shore of Lake Michigan, south of the Chicago River. We honor the indigenous peoples for whom these are unceded ancestral homelands, as well as the diverse and vibrant indigenous American communities who make their home here today. We are a Unitarian Universalist congregation, a community of children, youth, and adults, a people of many beliefs and traditions bound not by the specific list of things we believe, but the values we share and the mission to grow our souls and heal the world. Whether you just stepped into this church for the first time or for the 1000th time, you are welcome here. Whether you believe in God some of the time, all of the time, or none of the time, you are welcome here. No matter your race or who you love or how much money you do or don't have, you are welcome here. We have a couple of announcements this morning. First and foremost on my mind is that after the service at 11:45, please plan to stay for the State of the Church meeting. We all know that this is Super Bowl Sunday, and I think a lot of us probably have plans. I do too. So let's plan to start on time. I plan to be standing in this spot at 11:45 to start the meeting, so just to warn you all. Feel free to bring your coffee, feel free to bring your snacks, but please, let's get this started on time. I want to start the party. If you don't have plans, the men's group is sponsoring a Super Bowl watch party in Chrismore Parlor at 5 o'clock, and everyone is welcome to come. I would also like to remind everyone that on Wednesday night at 6 o'clock, we will be holding the monthly Good Life seminar and also the game night here at church. And Reverend Dave will be passing around a sign up for the Good Life seminar. So I think that was probably it. Please join me in reading our covenant as we light our chalice. Love is the spirit of this church, and service its law. This is our great covenant, to dwell together in peace, to seek the truth in love, and to help one another.
Number 346, Come Sing a Song With Me. That's 346 in your gray hymnal. Please rise in body or spirit. Come sing a song with me. Come sing a song with me. Come sing a song with me that share a rose with me. Come share a rose with me. Come share a rose with me, that I might know your mind. And I'll bring you hope when hope is hard to find. And I'll bring a song of love and a rose in the winter time.
I had two experiences this week that I very briefly want to share with you as I call us to worship. One, I was sitting with some collection of parents, long experience in the Unitarian Church, and asked them what, when they look back on the 20-year sweep, they wanted to share and what they saw as opportunities for the future. And one parent shared a sadness with me, among many good things. And one of the sadnesses was, you know, we do, in all of our churches, we do a wonderful coming of age program, right? And it sort of reflects, I always think there's a resonance with the Jewish tradition, and you come a certain age, as you approach 13 is the kind of number. You do a bat mitzvah or bar mitzvah, and it's a rite of passage, marker into entry into adulthood. We welcome you into membership, all these sorts of things. Really a special time, and I always hope we're going to do more, make more of it. And this mom said to me, you know, my kid, no longer a kid, he just wasn't ready for that. At 12 years old, that was not the program he was signing up for. Just wasn't there. And by the time he was ready, when he was 17, 18, and kind of was ready to do some of the, you know, reflection on other religions, writing essays, would have liked to have a mentor in the church, all this collection of stuff that we do around coming of age, it was too late, right? Because they said to him, you know, well, that's for 13-year-olds. I don't think anyone ever said that. It was just on the sign-up sheet. You know, you got to be, this is a ride for people this tall, not for people this, you're too tall, I'm sorry. Keep going, there's another ride for you. But, you know, it's 5 years later, and you're ready to mark a milestone in your life. And that was just so resonant to me. As I look back on my own life, and we don't have time for the entire accounting of my own life, and all the times that I was offered an opportunity. Oh, there's this great opportunity, you could sing with the choir. Oh, there's this special dance we're doing, and all the kids are going at 15. And like, 15, I didn't want to go to the dance, you know what I'm saying? At 18, I'm waiting for someone to invite me to the dance. And I don't know what the experience is in your life where you felt like your journey was out of step with how things were set up. My hope, and I'm going to preach on this, this is what's kind of connected, this is why it came to mind. My hope is that why can't I come of age at 17, right? Why can't I go to college at 23 when I feel ready for college, if I do? Why can't I go into the ministry, which I felt called to at 16, when I'm 40? Why can't I go to law school at 50 and become a public defender? The list goes on and on. And I am so often uplifted because this is a place that I think kind of explodes all that. We are here when you are ready. I really mean that. And people say, oh, I'll have to miss church, I have work, I have all. Don't worry. Don't stay home needlessly. But don't worry, because next Sunday we'll be here too. And don't worry when you say, actually, now's the time. I know I've been coming here 23 years, but now I'm ready for membership. Will someone talk to me about that again? Yeah, someone will talk to you about that again. I want to come of age. I never had a coming of age service. I'm 40. Can I come of age? Can I mark? Yeah, we might have a rite of passage for you. We can do some work together if you never got that chance. We had this wonderful class yesterday, this Pathways class with lots of newcomers. And a bunch of them showed up to church today, and I was asking at the front door, is it the the joy carrying over? Or did you feel like you'd be conspicuous coming all day to the class and not coming then to church? But if you see someone you don't know today, say a word, because they're entering into a church life, our church life together. And that's the gift of this place, is that we're here. You know, that class, I got a note from one of our members, said, I've been a member 53 years. Why am I looking over here at somebody over here? I'm not even gonna name it. I've been here 50, yeah, I'm not calling them out. I'm just saying, it was sweet. She wrote, I've been here 53 years. Can I still come to the newcomers class? I wanna hear. Yeah, you wanna hear. You're welcome in this place at the moment that's right for you to step forward and say, I'm ready. Ask me again. My friends, welcome to the celebration of life. Welcome to the celebration of wherever we are in our journey and the milestones we are passing right now together. Come, let us worship together. We're going to go right into our first hymn. We're going to have a brilliant song leader. You may rise in body or spirit. Or maybe this is the opening song. I don't know where I am, but thank you so much.
Answering hymn will be number 131 in the gray hymnal, Love Will Guide Us. That's number 131. Please rise in body or spirit for the singing. Love will guide us, peace has tried us, hope inside us will lead the way on the road from greed to giving. Love will guide us through the hard night. If you cannot sing like angels, if you cannot speak before thousands, you can give from deep within you. You can change the world with your love. Love will guide us, peace has tried us, hope inside us will lead the way on the road from greed to giving. Love will guide us through the hard night.
Young and young at heart, you're invited to come forward. If you want a better view on the story, you can sit up right here on the carpet, or you can sit in the first row there, whatever's your pleasure. Our story today takes place in a forest. And in this forest, all the animals decided that they wanted a better education for their children. So they came together, and all the animals, all the squirrels and the rabbits and the ducks and the eagles. What's your favorite forest animal? Anybody got a favorite forest animal? A bear, a wolf, all the wolves and all the bears, and all the bunnies, definitely the rabbits for sure. They all came together and they made a school. And their school, they wanted their children to have the best education. So their school was going to cover all the subjects, all the skills needed in the forest: swimming, climbing, flying, and running. And so they hired the best teachers they could find, and school started. All the little animals marched off to school, very excited for the first day. And the teachers soon found that in each class there were some students who were very, very good. All the students took all the subjects because they wanted their kids to have the best education. And so in swimming, the ducks were really, really good. They dove so precisely, and they just had this like comfort and joy in the water. The teacher said, I think I could learn something from you. But in running, the ducks really struggled. They were always behind, and in fact, they were in danger of failing the class. So what they did, they couldn't have children falling behind in the forest school. So what they did was they made a remedial running class for the ducks after school. So they had to stay after and practice running. And they made a little bit of improvement with that. But then they still were in danger of failing the class. So they actually had to drop their swimming class so that they could work more on running. And so they were practicing and practicing until their little webbed feet really hurt. And they did make enough improvement to pass the class. But then when it came time for the swimming test, their feet were so tired that they only made average marks in swimming, even though they had started out so good. But that was okay for the school. They passed both classes, right? The ducks cared a bit, though, that they only got a C in swimming. They're supposed to be better at that. They started off so at the top, right? And the rabbits were great in running. They would always be dashing to the finish line and grooming their fur while the rest caught up. But in swimming, they were really bad, and they were really, really nervous about failing the swimming class. So all the little rabbits were practicing swimming every morning before school, after school, on the weekends. They're practicing their swimming. They're really nervous about it. And they practiced so much that they were able to pass it, and so they were happy, but some of the little rabbits did have to go to the doctor afterwards because their fur got so irritated from being in the water all the time. Now, in climbing, it was the squirrels who really excelled. They would always get right to the top of the tree. But in flying class, they had trouble, though, because they weren't following the directions. That was the note that the teacher kept sending home with the squirrels. They weren't following the directions because the class was starting on the ground and learning their flying from there. And the squirrels, for some reason, kept wanting to climb up to the top of the tree first. I'll tell you why, because that's how squirrels fly, is by climbing to the top first and then flying. But that wasn't what the curriculum was. They were supposed to start on the ground. So what they did is they brought in a flying therapist who gave them little paw exercises to try to strengthen so they could fly from the ground. I bet you can imagine how effective that was. Do you guys think that was effective or not? Not really. I agree if you think it was not very effective. Now, the eagles were great at flying, to the chagrin of the ducks, who were always getting left behind. But in climbing, though, they became problem students because they kept arguing with the teacher. Because they said, well, if the goal is to get to the top of the tree, I'm just going to fly there, so I don't need to climb at all. And the teacher said, no, but this is climbing, though. You have to learn it. You have to climb. And so after too many arguments with the teacher sent the eagles to the psychologist, and they were diagnosed with oppositional defiant disorder. So, what is the moral of this story? George Revis, who wrote the story, who is a superintendent of schools in Cincinnati, ended the story with a question. Does this story have a moral? You might think about that question for yourself. I think that this story invites us to reflect on how can we learn our own strengths and honor our own strengths. How can we balance that with also learning from each other, trying something new, trying to expand what it is that we can do, things we can try, but still making space for what we ourselves are really good at? How can we use those strengths? So I invite you to reflect on the strengths that you would like to let shine from yourself this week. And with that, we will send our children and youth to their classes, and our worship will continue. I invite you to warmly greet your neighbor.
Usually that's Benny and the Jets, but I didn't surprise Mary Ann with a request for Benny and the Jets on this occasion. Each week we take up a collection, we take up an offering, and we share it. Part of it goes to fuel the ministries of this church, the ministries that are looking to drive out and make some impact on the world, and to invite in and make some impact on the community. Hopefully part of that impact is growing the community, tending, nurturing. The other piece we're sharing this week, we're sharing it with this month, we share the plate each month, the American Civil Liberties Union. It is an important time to pay attention to civil liberties, to human rights, to their preservation, protection, and one of the most powerful ways to do that is through the judicial system. And ACL does that work on our behalf, and so we'll be sharing with them. We're going to take up that offering just momentarily. Two things. I have a request for you. My sermon today is called Hide and Seek, and one of the things it asks is, has there been a time in your life where you've had to hide some aspect of who you are in a way such that it hurt your heart? I don't give away the whole sermon. Geez, I maybe did. But you're going to write a little piece of the sermon right now if you feel moved to share it. We got a little card. My brother JT is going to walk around and discreetly give you a card if you raise a kindly finger. And you write real clear on it. Have you ever had to hide some part of who you are in a way that hurt your heart? Okay. With that, I'm going to turn it over to Mary Ann Parker, who's at our keyboard today. What a gift. Thank you for occupying the Adam O'Dell chair in musical excellence that we have there. Mary Ann is a friend, a longtime friend of this church, former music director of our sister church, 2U, up there, up on the other side of the loop. And we're grateful to have her here today. Would you say just a word or two to the folks to introduce yourself and maybe tell us about what you're playing today? Would you like mine?
Thank you. Yes, I'm not very loud. It's so nice to be here with you all today. So the selection that I played for you at the prelude, I'm going to play a bit more from the same piece for the offertory now. And it's from a set of pieces, little vignettes called Wherein Lies the Good. And it's by a really wonderful American composer named Robin Holcomb. And her music draws from a really broad set of inspirations, including, classical, contemporary classical, but also jazz, folk, Americana, and beyond. She draws a lot from social justice is really important to Robin in her work, and I love this set. It really speaks to me because it draws a lot from Americana, and it really balances the beauty of the music with the fact that there's something ugly, something not right, something below the surface that is not right. So you might hear something in the music that's like, I don't know what that is. So she really holds it hand in hand, and I think in the end the beauty prevails, and it ends more on a question than on a declaration, and I really love that about that. So I'll play just a few selections from Wherein Lies the Good for you right now.
Today's offering will now be gratefully received. Let us today lift up in our hearts all of those who struggle, all of those who struggle with isolation, illness, fear, despair. Let us find space to celebrate along with sometimes those same people. Celebrate love in our lives, hope that remains, possibility that is just emerging. This is a community where we embrace all of the joys and sorrows. I wanted particularly to name today those who are in places of healing now, places where some gentleness and kindness is welcome. I lift up Paulette Levy here, who we don't see here, but we see so often in our hearts, that she be peaceful and well. I lift up Earl Jones, who is not in his usual seat today. I'm hoping online, because I'm looking at your seat, Earl, and we have a prayer today for your healing. Lynn O'Rear, that these days be gentle and well, we love you. Joan Staples and her team, usually in those rocking chairs, today at home, we hold you as well. I wish to turn now to a reading. This text is a familiar one to us for this time. It's on the pulse of mourning. This is from Maya Angelou. It's from her inaugural poem, and it's just a little excerpt, but it was resonant today for me, Maya's words. A rock, a river, a tree. Host to species long since departed marked the mastodon, the dinosaur who left dried tokens of their sojourn here on our planet floor. Any broad alarm of their hastening doom is lost in the gloom of dust and ages. But today the rock cries out to us, clearly, forcefully, "Come, you may stand upon my back and face your distant destiny, but seek no haven in my shadow. I will give you no hiding place down here. You, created only a little lower than the angels, have crouched too long in the bruising darkness, have lain too long face down in ignorance, your mouth spilling words armed for slaughter. The rock cries out to us today, you may stand upon me, but do not hide your face. Do not, on this day, hide your face."
If we want hope to survive in this world today, then every day we've got to pray on, pray on. If we want hope to survive in this world today, then every day we've got to pray on.
This world today, then every day we've got to pray on. If want hope to survive in this world today.
We've got to
And every day we've got to walk on. If we want hope to survive in this world today.
We've got to
And every day we've got to walk on. If we want hope to survive in this world today. And every day we've got to work on.
Now that was not, I'm told, a forever choral conducting debut, but it was the debut in this church. Thank you so much. The world asks us to conform to its shape, which in my experience is quite unlike our own. Through its institutions, it makes this bid to us, upon us relentlessly. I invite you into consideration today whether that is helpful or whether it is not. The places and people of our lives that tell us to show up a certain way, as I was referring to before, and at a certain specified time, I'm sure they mean well, or they mean to get something done. I'm talking about parents, bless them, schools, bless them, churches, oh, bless them, the cool kids that surround us, the police that oversee our movements, the politicians that lead us, the singers who inspire us, and now in 2024, something called the influencers who shape everything, apparently. We learn to do just that, by which I mean show up and conform. All of us learn it to some degree. I know it because we've been successful in navigating life, and to be successful in navigating life, to be dressed here today and dressed appropriately. The whole room is dressed appropriately. Why is that? Because we have a gift for conformance, and if we didn't have an early gift, we've developed a skill over time. We have learned to conform, which is as much about suppressing parts of ourselves, as it is about learning to do something constructive, right? Those two things go hand in hand. Part of it is this is how we walk down the aisle gracefully. And hidden, the shadow of every time we learn how to gracefully move down an aisle or properly sing a hymn or dress for church, the list goes on and on, we learn a list of things that we will not do. Do not walk like that. Take your hat off. So forth. On and on and on. And so I wonder, is this always helpful? It's natural, but is it helpful? Now, before I get all down on conformity, which is a reliable way to get applause in a Unitarian church, to heck with that. Don't worry, we're going to get there. We're going to end on an affirming note, and I'm going to tell you, you can dress how you darn well want to dress when you come to church. Might even be a gift. You can dye your hair any color you want. Here, I'm going to get there. Keep that in your heart, right? But I want to say that there are kinds of good hiding. I'm going to end on don't hide your light under a bushel, right? Don't hide who you are, all this sort of stuff. And yet I want to do service to the fact that isn't there some good in hiddenness? Have we rushed too fast by that idea when the hidden self and the luxury of having a hidden self contains so much virtue, good, beauty, and possibility? I think whatever I want, friends. I don't say whatever I want from this pulpit, but I think whatever I want in the privacy of my mind. Is that a good thing? Oh my gosh, there's a beauty in it and a luxury in it. And how wonderful it is to have a minister who has a little bit of a selectivity control in their brain, and they don't say everything they thought this week from the pulpit. Can I get an amen? Keep some of that to yourself. It's okay you thought it. You don't need to say it. And somewhere between the thinking of all of the things and the choosing of what to present is a kind of hiddenness. And in that beautiful hiddenness are some ideas that just aren't ready yet. It's not ugly things, not terrible things. Maybe it is, and that's okay too. I've had thoughts in my mind that I say, the world doesn't need that idea. I can be angry. Well, you want to find me angry? Find me driving, right? And people breaking traffic laws. I'm giving a trivial example. This isn't very confessional. But I have thoughts in my mind, and 90% of the time they don't come out of my mouth. And there's a hiddenness to that. So in some cases, it's because I'm working on maybe not even having that thought come into my mind. In other cases, I have a half-baked, maybe beautiful, maybe helpful, but maybe not thought. It needs more time. So is it so wrong that there are rooms in the mansion of our minds, the mansions of our hearts, right, that are not yet open for public touring? That's it. I love going to historic houses. There are rooms they've opened up, and there are rooms that they keep locked. Oh, why can't we go in that room? I asked that about church, one of my old churches. And I said, how come we're not using that beautiful room up in the tower? Well, they said, actually, that the floor won't support a weight of over 130 pounds. Oh, I said, well, that's helpful. I will not defy the idea then. That's the good room to keep locked. It's not ready for us to walk in hiddenness. There are hidden rooms that just aren't ready for prime time yet. I had this delightful Pathways class I was telling you about, and some of the joy of that, at the very end, we go on a tour, and let's disclose some hiddenness. What's hidden here? Our beautiful crypt. It's not that it's not ready. It's just locked. It's there, and it is clean. And as Keon pointed out, I think it was Keon, we were going down there, he said, I like that the walls are beautiful and bright. The deeper you go underground, the brighter the walls get here, that the light reflects off them. And the crypt, if you've not been there, many of you have family down there, is swept clean and ready. And that's an occasion where it's both hidden and ready to be open to disclosure. Wow, that's a metaphor. So we have, I'm suggesting, different kinds of rooms in the grand cathedrals that we represent. And the choice to open some doors and to leave some closed is a power and is necessary. Privacy is precious. There is work done in privacy. It is a human need and a human right. Okay, there's a whole branching. If it was a choose your own adventure, you could have a 30-minute sermon on the enormous gift of privacy and those in this world who are denied it, and those structures of the world that are seeking to deny it of more and more people. That's a sermon over there. The good hiding I want to talk about is also the fact of this manifold self which needs to be nurtured. Each one of those rooms in our mind, in our hearts, and in our souls contains a slightly different self. And the choice of how we show up in a place is a powerful gift. We don't show up with all of ourselves at one moment. We need the chance to be different people, to play different roles. We need to go to the nightclub on Friday night and dance and dress and live with a kind of abandon that maybe has a different feel from showing up at worship on Sunday morning. That's not the suppressed self, that's the selected self, right? Touch football and the barbecue on Saturday is different than the classical concert on Sunday afternoon. The Super Bowl is a different kind of party, right, than a memorial service, which is a celebration of life. Is that wrong? No, that's an expression of the manifold selves and the manifold community that we represent. Within each of us, there are 100 selves. Some of them not ready to show up yet, not ready to come out yet, not ready even to tentatively do that walk down the aisle. That's all right. We are works in progress. And I say that to you today. If you are 21, and I know I got a 21-year-old sitting here. If you are 97, I got a 97-year-old on the thing. You are a work in progress. Really? I'm still being built? Yeah. And I have this in mind whenever we lift up and valorize this mythic idea of the authentic self, singular. Let us not be suffocated by singularity. Let us not be suffocated by the insistence that we are a continuously fully disclosed self, fully baked, fully done, and unchanging. Oh my gosh. We have a hymn somewhere, let the mystery be. That is never more important than with yourself. Tend to the mysterious part. For when you have no more mystery left within you, I worry you are depleted of joy, that we are somehow desiccated in ways we need not be. Let us be flowing and alive. And in order to do that, let us allow there to be a hidden part. Let us remember Emerson. We were talking Emerson yesterday. Liz, who's not here yet in the room, was teaching us some Emerson she was teaching the Oversoul yesterday. The other essay that I encourage you to go home and read is Self-Reliance again. In it, Emerson writes this: speak what you think now in hard words, and tomorrow, what tomorrow thinks in hard words again, even though it contradicts what you said today. Let me corrupt that. Be boldly who you are today, just as you are today, how you are moved to show up, to express yourself, to let your heart be naked in this place, nakedness in this place. Oh my gosh. Show up fully vulnerable today, even knowing that the fully vulnerable you tomorrow is going to betray 30% of how you are today. Do not live in fear of, as Emerson said, that foolish consistency. How can you be? You represent the 100 selves, 30 becoming, 30 past that you want to treat as precious gifts, your prior selves, and those that jockey for position on the day. And so in this, I rail a little bit against the idea of true self or authentic self on this day for the fluid self, the imaginative self, the experimental self, who might just come out in a safe place. I lift up today the imperfect self. I do not think we give ourselves permission to be imperfect selves. So liberal we are. Yeah, are we? I feel we are at our most orthodox when it comes to self-talk, self-permissions, self-friendship. Geez, at least some of us. Maybe I'll speak for myself. I get my most strict when I'm alone with myself. How I'm going to show up, what I'm going to say, which tie, right? Give me a break. Give yourself a break on this day. The freedom to show up different. And the freedom to remake yourself again tomorrow. And now, having done that work, to allow selective hiddenness, give the gift of permission to the people around you to do the same. This is a power I want to reinforce that we don't as often focus on here in church. We're such a church grounded in this notion of the individual self, individual autonomy, sovereignty, self-determination, and yes, that's good stuff. I'm saying it to you. It's the starting point. The secondary power you realize is that the person next to you has the same power. And you have a meta power to sort of say, hey, you can be who you want to be. And I encourage you to think now the 100 ways you may say that. And I'm talking trivial stuff, but we'll get deep. We'll get deep. Sometime today, by Super Bowl time, we'll have gotten deep. Sometimes it's not by saying, explaining, we explain too much, but sometimes it's by saying, I like your shoes. They're purple high tops in church. And you say, I like your shoes. And by saying, I like your shoes, you've affirmed their right to show up in the shoes that fit them this day. Use that metaphor how you will. I'll send you on that sermon in your own mind where you get to have permission to show up in the shoes that fit you. Show up in the person that fits you that day. And just by showing your heart and some affirmation to the person next to you in this service, you might give them the idea that you were right. You are powerful. And you're recognized by a community. So those are two different moves, right? Giving permission to be yourself, and then recognizing a person as the self they choose to present, which is a little bit different than you dress however you want. I'm not talking to you. That's a different posture toward the other. And I'm saying in church, but I mean it on the street. I see all the time, I see that guy. I'm gesturing toward JT, but it's not JT on the street. I see that guy. I don't think I'm going to go talk to that guy. I'm not sure about the way that guy's showing up. I was reading a little meme on the internet, and here's a more serious turn on it. Guy talking on the phone in Spanish. That's a signifier. That guy doesn't belong here, and someone accosted him on the phone talking in Spanish. Why are you talking Spanish on the phone? Okay. Different ways to signal to people who we don't know, but we sure as heck are in relationship with, that how they show up, the who they are, the unhidden part, which is as natural as day, is received and recognized by us. Now, if you're gifted, it means being able to move into a few different kinds of language, being able to speak multilingually. Now, multilingualism isn't just about words. Becoming multilingual people is becoming a people of affirmation. And so I wish to say to you today, my friends, to borrow the phrase, we contain multitudes. Most of us at any given time remains hidden, even to ourselves. And let us not pretend otherwise. Let us celebrate that hiddenness and mystery, and then celebrate the capacity we have to choose how to disclose ourselves to the world. And let us recognize that disclosing ourselves to the world is not a solo project. It's not me standing on a high platform shouting, look at me, I am this way, I am that, alone. It must be received and recognized. And so I mean to say this notion that we are dance partners in this project. We are not self-made alone. We are socially constructed selves. In order for me, let me get real simple, in order for me to be a minister, I needed you to be part of that conversation. In order to be ordained in our tradition, the minister has to say, I feel a call. Congregation, do you think that call is valid? And the congregation, not this one, somewhere else said, yeah, we feel that call to be valid. And then you go to another place and you say, colleagues, good colleagues, I feel moved to do a thing. Will you receive me and nurture me? Do you think there's enough? And they say, we see you are imperfect, not yet whole, and you make us wonder, but we see a future you coming out of the hidden room, and we take you under our wing. And then that minister has to go to a church in a whole other city. In this case, I came to Chicago, and say, I feel a call to the place. Do you hear a common call? Yeah, we hear a whisper, some of the folks said. I see Leslie. I don't have my glasses on, but I see Leslie back there. She says, I hear a whisper at least. Good. This is the dance I'm talking about. It's dialogical formation of the self. Through dialogue and conversation, we become. We come to know that we exist because we see the light in the eyes of the other. And we come into the fullness of our potential and who we are, whether we are 21 or 97 or 6 months, because of the back and forth between us. At 6 months, it's a cooing noise and a kiss. Maybe it's the same at 51 years, 97 years. But more often, it's through actual conversation that we wrestle with what we're going to do. We're about to become a teaching congregation again. We have a long history of that here. Holy moly. We used to have a seminary right across the street. And so young people would come to us and say, I hear a call. And they got the classes over there, and they said, I want to experiment with becoming over here. I think I can be a healer. I think I can be a tender of the world. Can you help me become that? I'll be vulnerable if you promise to help me. If you promise not to laugh at the wrong parts, right? If you promise to dance with me, sing with me, support me. So we have an intern coming, not until the end of the summer. And we're starting that project again. And she's coming to enable us to be a teaching congregation. But I'm saying to you today, and I'll remind you again, she's coming to remind us what that process is. And to be a teacher is to be, again, a learner. To help someone become what they know they can be but has been hidden for some time is to accept the invitation to ourselves to become something more. It's what I hope for us in this season. And so here's the part I promised you. You have liberty at this time in this safe space. Geez, people have ruined that phrase as if it's something trivial, superficial. I have not found it trivial to have safe places in the world. This is a safe place because every week we come and we make it one. It's not because of the solidity of the stone. It's because of the solidity of this chosen community that we make is a safe space that issues an invitation. And so when I ask you, where have you had to hide in your life? And you say to me, I had to hide my relationship from my parents. I've had to. I'm trying to work with my verbs. That means maybe still. In this place, you don't. Bring your partner. I'm the parent of a trans child, one of you here writes, and I have to hide that from my in-laws. What does it mean to have to hide that self, becoming self, child? It has repercussions. And one more, as hard as it was to come out to my family as queer, it was harder and took much longer, wait for it, to come out as a UU. I was raised in a Lutheran parsonage. Oh, bless you, sister. Bravery, the invitation to come out theologically, to come out in our gender identity, to come out in who you love, how you love, to come out in the call of vocation, to come out even in just matters of simple belief. Let us be a place that invites you into being your freest self. Do not subject yourself to the tyranny of authenticity. That's just my pet peeve. There is not some perfect, ideal, platinum you hidden. You are a complicated, beautiful, messy, changing self. Be that. Be it with passion and verve and vitality. Invite other people into the crazy project with you. Make an institution that conveys it. Make a voice that can be heard in the wilderness of the greater community of the political tyranny in which we are always subject to incursions of oppression, to insistence of going and hiding somewhere. There are so many occasions to hide right now, if for no other reason, exhaustion, if for no greater reason, preservation of life for some of us. And so find the places to let your spirit out, let your heart heal a bit, and take us along with you. May it be so, and amen.
Sit at the welcome table. We're gonna sit at the welcome table one of these days, hallelujah. We're gonna sit at the welcome table. Gonna sit at the welcome table one of these days. All kinds of people around that table. All kinds of people around that table one of these days, hallelujah. All kinds of people around that table. Gonna sit at the welcome table one of these days. No fancy style at the welcome table. No fancy style at the welcome table one of these days, hallelujah. No fancy style at the welcome table. Gonna sit at the welcome table one of these days.
I encourage you to reach out and take a hand if you feel so moved, and remain standing if you are standing. Remain high in spirit if you are high in spirit. And as you go from this place, may you be blessed. May you be blessed by a knowing of the beautiful self that you are. And may you, even you, be a little bit surprised by the self you will become in the blink of an eye. Go from this place encouraged, and bear that light of encouragement upon others. Be well, my friends. Amen.
Honestly, yeah. I sent them to you. I did. I sent it a month ago. You sent it a month? What? Calendar a month ago.
So I sent it, and so I said, it's not my fault if you don't read emails. I sent it a month ago.
10 out of 10, no notes.